This season, Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies came out of nowhere and are looking to be in a great position to lock up the second overall seed in the entire NBA. Something that not a single person could have predicted over last year, as this was a team that finished in 8th place in the Western Conference with just 38 wins on the season and lost in the first round of the playoffs in 5 games to the Utah Jazz. This season isn't even over yet, and this team has climbed all the way up to the second seed in the entire NBA and already have 49 wins on the year, looking to make that number well above 50 with 10 games left in the season. This massive jump came in large part due to the emergence of a new superstar in the NBA in Ja Morant. From Rookie of the Year to a legitimate MVP candidate in just 3 seasons, Ja Morant has evolved to a level where his ability on the court alone makes the Memphis Grizzlies championship contenders. Set aside the pieces that this team has for 1 second, as I do recognize just how good and young of a roster the Grizzlies have assembled, and for a minute just take in exactly what this team has in Ja Morant as a prospect, because I honestly think that he can be one of the biggest faces in the NBA one day and can bring the city of Memphis some hardware in the form of an NBA championship trophy. Also, only a small percentage of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed, so if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind. Enjoy the video. Still at just 22 years old, Ja Morant in his 3rd season in the NBA has improved in every single statistical category on the court, except for his assists per game, as this is an area where he hasn't fallen off from, as he averages just 1 less per game than his previous 2 seasons, and this is in large part due to the fact that his role on this team is far greater than simply just being the team's #1 playmaker. It's to be the guy that night in and night out, he does whatever it takes to win games, which has resulted in him taking and making significantly more shots with his now elite level scoring ability. Ja Morant has everything you need in a prospect and more, and the fact that he's still just 22 years old means he isn't even near entering his prime, leaving the possibilities in his future endless to become one of the greats in the NBA. He's got the athleticism to jump with anyone in the league. His finishing ability around the rim is unmatched. He perfectly embodies what the Memphis Grizzlies are all about. With his very own grit and grind mentality he's carried with him his whole life, he's extremely likable as a person. He even is a top playmaker in this league, a strong rebounder for a guard, can shoot the ball efficiently, and has been constantly improving his ability to shoot the 3 ball ever since he stepped foot into the NBA. He's got everything you would ever need in a player and more, and the absolutely terrifying thing about him is the fact that he's still got so many years left to grow and improve, once again being just 22 years old. It has been practically statistically proven that if you want to win an NBA championship, judging by the last couple of decades of past winners, the one thing that almost every team has is a top 7 player in the NBA on their roster. Although many people don't want to believe that because their team may not have that type of talent, it is more than the truth about this league, but I'm also not saying that it's impossible to win without that kind of talent. It's just a lot more difficult, and the team that you would need to build would need to be utterly perfect to make up for not having it. Ja Morant is just that this season, being in the top 5 of almost everyone's MVP list, and this is why I think more people need to start paying attention to the Memphis Grizzlies in terms of them being considered one of the teams to win it all. Ja has proven he can erupt for having extremely efficient 30, 40, or even 50-point nights, and this is only going to continue the older he gets in this league. But the thing is, and why I think it's so important to have a guy like this, is that if he manages to heat up during the playoffs and have some performances like he's had all year, it's going to be so difficult for teams to try and stay in front of Morant and try to limit him to a certain amount of points without him just going absolutely berserk and completely taking the game over in any given series. He has the ability to do this against any team in the playoffs, and it's going to take similar efforts from big time stars on those other teams to try and match these performances, and honestly, there are only a select few of individuals who are in a position to do so against Morant this year. This is why I'm telling everyone not to count out the Morant-led Memphis squad, because he is now considered one of those guys who can take his game to a whole nother level while taking the Grizzlies deep in the playoffs. And of course, this is all paired with the fact that this Memphis team has an extremely solid foundation of players around Morant that is only going to make them that much more difficult to stop, especially considering that there are guys that can step up and fill in as much as they can if Morant is having an uncharacteristic game and potentially squeeze out a couple of wins. I went more in depth about the rest of the guys on this team in one of my previous videos, so make sure you guys check that out after this, but I will still be briefly going over this Memphis team as a whole and talk about why they are like none of the other Grizzlies squads from the past. A team with the 6th best offensive rating and the 7th best defensive rating in the NBA make a strong point as to why they've been so successful all year long, and it hasn't all been because of the team's superstar I've mentioned all video. Desmond Bane has been Morant's right-hand man all season, being an extremely solid two-way 3-and-D player for this team, averaging 41.8% from 3, who has the size and strength to put himself in positions to get his way down low and also grab some boards. Jaren Jackson Jr., the most consistent player on this team, playing in 71 games so far, being a huge presence down low on both sides of the ball alongside Steven Adams, which has accounted for his monster of a season defensively for this team, with a steal per game on the year and 2.2 blocks a game. Steven Adams, a guy that almost perfectly embodies the grit and grind mentality in Memphis, has been such a key piece to this team's success, doing all of the little things for them and even leading the league in offensive rebounding this season, where his offensive rebounding percentage is so high that it ranks 2nd in the NBA over the last 24 seasons. Dylan Brooks is finally back and healthy in the starting lineup, which just adds yet another scoring option on this team, matched with his defensive ability. And the guys that round out the bench, who are all very solid pieces, might I add, that have plenty of experience filling in for starters when their time comes and do whatever it takes to set this team up for success that this team can rely upon in the playoffs to give them solid production. These guys include Brandon Clark, DeAnthony Melton, Tyus Jones, Zaire Williams, Kyle Anderson, John Conchar, Xavier Tillman, and more that add to this incredibly slept-on group of guys. Overall, the Grizzlies have set themselves up in a position where their future looks like one of the brightest in the entire NBA, as the average age of this team is the 2nd youngest by just 0.1 of a year to the Oklahoma City Thunder, as it is 24.2 years old, and they are already 2nd in the entire NBA in terms of wins this year. What this team is going to be able to do is going to be so interesting to watch this postseason, as they are already years ahead of schedule at this point, and if they even manage to go on a long run, I think they very well have the ability to shock even more people this year than they already have and maybe come away with the NBA championship. Their success in the playoffs lies on the shoulders of one man, and his name is Ja Morant. Let's see if he has what it takes to get the job done when his number gets called in a 7-game series. That's going to be all for today's video. Let me know down below in the comments if you think Ja Morant has what it takes to bring the Memphis Grizzlies the championship this season. As always, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button to help this video get shared along YouTube's algorithm, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more NBA videos like this one that I will be posting multiple times per week. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a great night.